A seat. It's a real pleasure to be with you all this evening. Get comfortable. Cool. All right. Wonderful. Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Henriksen. I'm the program director here at the Poetry Project, and I am extremely honored and excited to be gathered for an evening of collaborative performance with Nicole Peyrafitte and Pierre Joris. I have just a couple announcements and reminders before we get into it. So first, there are 2 all-gender restrooms located upstairs and 2 more here on the first floor. If you need access to those first floor restrooms, just find me or anyone else on staff and we can get the door open for you so you can head over to the first floor restrooms. It's a real pleasure to see you this evening. Would love to see you again at the Poetry Project soon. We have a lot of great events coming up this spring. So we'll be back here Friday, not tomorrow, but the next night, for readings by Nora Treatbaby and Mohammed Zenia. They both have newer books out, which I'm extremely excited about. On Monday, we'll be back for a celebration of Cookie Mueller on the occasion of her 75th birthday. That event, pre-sale tickets are closed, but you're still welcome to join us at the door. On Thursday, we'll have an event called The Potency of Images, which will be a study session on the politics of visibility and visuality in Gaza. And then on Friday next week, we have an event with Stefa Marin Alarcon and Oyoung. So a lot of really wonderful stuff coming up. And actually, maybe I'll hype just one more that I think people will be excited about too, which is on March 13th. We'll be celebrating the publication or the republication of 2 Martin Wong books, which I'm really, really excited about. That's in collaboration with Primary Information. So it's a really abundantly full March, and I hope to see you here often. Those are all of my announcements. I'm really, really delighted now to turn it over to Urayoán Noel to introduce the performances.
Buenas noches. Good evening. To bask in the luminous presence of Nicole and Pierre is to be given permission to dream beyond what the late Edouard Glissant called the vehicular languages of empire, hegemonic, English, Span, Francais, and so on. From the borderlands of Europe, Nicole and Pierre insist on minoritarian tongues, Occitan, Luxembourgish, in the best Deleuze and Guattarian sense, uncontainable by any state. Nomad Poetics, perhaps, isn't the title of Joris's landmark essay and book, but also Karstic actions in the sense of Peyrafitte's performance and both of their expanded field practices, embodied sinkholes of meaning, where we can rock beyond our bedrock. Karstic is also, it should be said, an anagram of sick art. And that is what Nicole and Pierre live and model for us in all its impure puree of forms. Foot painting? Check. Free jazz? Check. Cooking? Yeah, they're always cooking, Daddy-o. Who can forget Nicole's impromptu online cooking classes at the start of the pandemic, reminding us that we can't spell nourish without nu, even as our nos is always an otros. The sharing of and from our otherness is one lesson I have learned from Nicole and Pierre's beautifully collaborative practice of living and making. I remember around the time when I first met them, when they hosted a reading after party for our own beloved Anne Waldman at their old place in Albany, and thinking to myself, how do they do it? Pardon my Puerto Rican Spanish, ¿Cómo carajo? How do they, I was a young assistant professor, so like, how do you do your job and institutional job, your art job, right? The raising a family, and they still find the time to build community. And if you've hung out with Nicole and Pierre, they do this elegantly, warmly, and with as much of a sense of care and purpose as anybody. What I didn't realize back then is that this type of happening, spontaneous, eccentric, and always warm, was and is a key part of Nicole and Pierre's practice, their poetics, which has inspired generations of us, poets, performers, translators, or just practitioners of the porous, I should say, the rich us, across borders and diasporas. Hey, they have some puns in there, so I'm taking that as permission. Nicole and Pierre don't just show you the way, they show up to your reading and invite you to their place, their slice of Bay Ridge lit oral becoming. They invite you to the ridges of meaning, to the bays of the body-mind. In works such as The Book of You, Le Livre de Cormoran, 2017, and in their ongoing documentary poetics, sometimes fluttering miraculously before our eyes on social media when the overlord's algorithm allows, their élan vital revives our cœur mourant with a call for more rants, more cris de coeur, that's their pun, not mine, more cris de coeur for our burning planet, more aves in our avenues for a new avenir, more of the path and the pas de los pájaros. Oiseau up the wazoo is who we were always meant to be, and what this world was owed always. Can't owe it more, canto of our broken song. May it take flight tonight. I have nothing more to add, but 3 anagrams for Peyrafitte Joris. First, rosy aperitif jet. Second, tear joy spitfire. And my personal favorite, joy as prettifier. And I'll just do a little 20-second improvisation in the spirit of the processual art of becoming that is Nicole and Pierre's practice. Estamos aquí improvisando algo que se llama Poetry Project. Pero no estamos en los projects. I think NYU, where I teach, got rid of as many people as it could, but here we are still at the borderlands of the institution, donde las lenguas se combinan. Hay violencia, hay belleza, hay posibilidad, y ahí está el vuelo, no el vol de nuit de Saint-Exupéry. I don't know why I said that, just because it's a French novel. Showing off my French is the motif of the night. Nicole and Pierre are way too tasteful for that. See what a hypocrite I am. I shout out their Occitan and their Luxembourgish, and then I hit you up with my bad college French. It's time for me to shut up, but I can't. I'm stuck in the loop of becoming that is my own rant of cormorant, cri de coeur for a burning planet, finding beauty somehow amid the chaos, entre la violencia de vivir, nombrar, habitar. Eso, para mí, son Nicole y Pierre. Buenas noches.
Te amo, Ura.
Thank
¿A
you.
dónde estás?
Tough act to follow.
With us tonight, Pierre Gogwelt on the violin.
Oh,
de car. Oh, 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 emna de pera. De pera a pera. Che maridata aquesta gujat de Luxemburgo. Quin sapere la pera. Peire Jordi? Che è un poeta. Un gujat de lettres. Un gujat de muts. Me che més que tot. Pere Jordi. Che gujat de mon cor. Oh, 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 emna de oh, emna pirenenca. Oh, 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 goccia de Luxemburgo, goccia de Luxemburgo, oh, oh, oh. That was a little Occitan. Et Gojat de Luxembourg che è Pierre. Le Gojat du Luxembourg. Translation doesn't work.
Gouja has double meaning in French. I won't go into that now.
So, thank you so much for having us. Thank you, Ura, for that beautiful introduction. And what you said about the language and all that, we're actually gonna, in lieu of a dedication, we would like to share this passage from the excellent Evan T. Pritchard book, a native New Yorker who recovered some information regarding the place we are all gathered here right now. So that sounds like a very meaningful and personal dedication. Pierre will read the short part. We're not going to read the whole page.
Book by Evan T. Pritchard. Now, there are 4 major groups of Lenape on Manhattan in 1523. The Renniu-speaking Canarsie to the east of the Bowery Path and south of Canal. The Unami-speaking Sappohannocken people to the west of that same trail as far south as Canal Street. The Munsee people to the north, plus the Wappingers. The great intertribal gathering place where the boundaries of these 3 major Lenape territories met was called Kintekoying, or powwow grounds. Not only did 3 languages meet there, but 3 great roads as well. Today, we call it Astor Place, Cooper Square.
Now a little geology. What the native tribes back then and we today are sitting on is the Manhattan schist that was formed about 500 million years ago during Gondwana. Horseshoe crabs, or Limulus polyphemus, going too fast, appeared 450 million years ago, and they will show up today. However, the schist surfaced here only during Pangea. During Pangea, too, the first fossil, the first basal bird, Archaeopteryx, appeared. The modern bird, including the cormorant, will appear later, 30 million years ago. So,
Cormorants too, late.
Yeah.
And Homo sapiens is not on this chart because we're only 300,000 years old. Just to keep perspective how insignificant we are on that scale. But tonight we are thrilled to be here. And on the upcoming slides, we will share some of our Domopoetic Karstic experiences episodes.
So now that we have mapped out the timeline we will cover, let's proceed, and we will try to contain it in 1 hour. The term Domopoetics came to me after returning from one of our long excursions along the shores of Coney Island, Brighton Beach, and I coined the words to name what was then 25 years of shared artistic and domestic practices. Today we will share some more recent of such collaborative works.
I didn't like the term Domopoetics at first, until Nicole pointed to its etymological range, knowing that I always fall for etymology. Notice the immediate complex mess of languages and translation matters.
So Pierre was a little more dubious about the word, given that the term domo can also have some dumb connotation. But that's what exactly I liked about it, because life as a couple can be pretty silly.
All right. Water. It's there. You want some of mine? Meanwhile, I'll go on. Yes, I think I saw the term a bit dumb. Dumb in both meanings, silly, stupid, and temporarily unable or unwilling to speak. But then, on reflection, the term allowed me to play escape from the domus, the house, the locked place via etymologies, the vertical nomadism of words through time and space, so that beyond the two of us and the children thus generated, we can reach a community, a shared sociality. Our Domopoetics is ecumenical in the sense of an earth household, to use Gary Snyder's phrase, which is, of course, an Englishing of oikos, meaning house, living space, and logos, knowledge or discourse, thought. It thus refers to the science and art of living. Then Nicole added the term Karstic.
Yeah, and that comes from my relationship with the caves, and particularly the cave of Gargas in the Pyrenees.
More on those in the third part of our
So
dig.
Karstic, from karst, meaning limestone, refers to the geological phenomena of dilution and transformation, often but not always through hydraulic, i.e. water-based infiltration, in the formation of superficial or underground limestone topographies. What I have called Karstic action paintings, an open-ended series of live performance work that I started in 2011 but extended to our collaboration. The work explore proprioception, sense of the body position, kinesthesia, sense of the body movement. And we will show some examples.
Note that such porosity and interpenetration and transformation of our habitat is not just an image, a metaphor, but the literal reality of our worlds, and shows in works the interconnections of the inanimate, anti-animate, of the mineral, vegetable, and animal realms, of which the human is but one, not necessarily essential element. Here then, Nicole's vision of a sympoiesis is central. But let's quickly get back to the beginning of our collaborative work.
Our earliest Domopoetic collaboration might have been this photo of a cloud I took as we were dating, turning the corner to get to Pierre's house in Encinitas, California, where I also lived at the time. And we were both stunned on how the cloud looked like the US. And I guess it was the omen that we were here to stay and together.
I was putting together, as often as usual, a book of poems at that time. I had already called that book Turbulence, and this photo immediately felt right as that book's cover art. Meanwhile, Nicole has done the covers of some 25 of my books. Here's that book. And now the title poem, accompanied by an early 90s animation of that image by Nicole, of course. Turbulence. Critical transformations, talk about weather, hominids out of a drier Pliocene, forest withdrawal, sudden wide vistas, a savanna niche, the past shrinks to first, symbol, meager clump of trees. That's it for 1.5 million. Stasis under clear skies, a silent sun. Then ice and an urge called culture. Climactic change opens new vistas, the clump of trees shrinks into the brain, molded trunks bridge hemisphere gap, hands hot up, twirling, sticks, sparks, a younger night. The bright fire behind the eyes, back to elephant graveyard of time, convexed out, a smile remembered to remember, brain trace notched on universe, the universe down now on incised bone. Reversal is the movement of Tao. After stasis, change. Bring color to cheeks. The weather does change. Shove bone scepter into girdle, clouds over the moon, slain deer shoulder blade, cracks in fire. Memory remembers to look forward, cracks in the sky, know it in your bones. One moment earlier, something had deviated, moving obliquely. This is local fortuity. The Kleinemann exactly and more exactly deviation from equilibrium. The incline, the streak of lightning bars the clouds. Immediately a shape happens, roughly and circular. No need for more. A little hole around which people gather, like bees, a dead body at center, a world where accident is rule. Begin here, in the middle, by the smallest angle. Deviation begins. Be gone, get off the road. What road? When at the beginning, all directions are equivalent. Begin again. In the heart of the city, I is born. The sign reads, toute direction, points one way only. I is born at the smallest angle, gives a slide, the fastest slide down, direction, born side by side, and the laminary flow at the edge of the city that is all heart, meets you, turbulence. And that's how we looked back then.
It rained on the parade. Yeah, right. Especially the hair.
Okay, in 2021 we had an exhibition at the Gallery Simoncini in Luxembourg, structured in 3 sections, a structure we will loosely follow tonight. The upper floor was the canopy section. The canopy, of course, refers to trees and their inhabitants, especially birds. Here it showed Nicole's birds painting and some previous Karstic actions we had done together. We had printed posters for each section. This one was a poem, 324, outside, sun caught in bare tree branches, cradled. Inside, me caught in shelter in place, cradled too. P.S. We shall both rise again. Nick will read this at the end of the section.
Oh, yeah.
Those branches were gathered in my Luxembourg family's woods and represent an homage to the amazing knowledge trees are imparting to us. Once we start listening and looking closely, we also played bird sounds. I recorded and assembled Luxembourg birds.
So we will now read some passerine poems and other from nature interaction. But first, let me say a few words concerning what I call l'état oiseau, bird state. And that is what I'm working on right now, l'état oiseau, bird state. État oiseau, bird state. Many things can change the dynamic and outcome of a practice. The COVID pandemic and then family health issue influenced mine positively. It became clear that recentering the work on nature exploration was not only healing, sustainable, and most of all reconnecting me to a more intentional experience and practice that in many ways flowed naturally. I grew up in the French Pyrenees at the foot of the 10,000 feet peaks, and I've always delighted in mountain outdoors activities, especially the winter ones. My love for nature was always intense, physical, and an escape from a strained upbringing in a 4-star hotel restaurant. What is bird state? Very simply put, It is the way I approach my explorations while doing fieldwork. After a few years of looking through binoculars, taking photographs and drawing birds, I registered that the very uplifting visits to the nearly empty shores of Brooklyn, Long Island, especially the very cold winter ones, and while visiting parks or shores around our neighborhood, all these occurrences always felt like phenomena. This is bird state. When my sense of perception truly increases as I tune into the awareness that my body is the primary site of contact with what surrounds me, and most of all with the more than human world. Engaging my body, whether it is in Karstic action painting, antediluvian sympoiesis pieces, birding while kayaking, or just walking on the shore, gives me that sense of experience that can be accessed by receiving, engaging, participating with, in the intertwined elements. It lets surface what David Abram calls animal sense and sensuous terrain. Animal sense and sensuous terrain.
The soundtrack here is by Joris Peyrafitte. And now, my birds, which are simple proletarian birds. This is my photo, which is also a very simple photo. 19 sparrows earlier this morning on that leafless, not lifeless, bush next to the little lily pond on Shore Road. Why did you count them? You ask, laughing. Because they were there. I belatedly think of answering you now that they've all flown away to congregate elsewhere, making up different arrays of spare, unnumbered spare rows. This morning sparrow hops on the small baton-like branch and onto another a few feet beyond the open window, in perfect accord with Bach's Partita for Violin Solo number 1 in B minor, comes from my speakers? Or is this collage just an illustration of my blatant paucity in knowing musical tempi? And Nicole's suggestion that birds came first, music after, makes me wonder if in truth it isn't Bach who is in perfect accord with the sparrow's hop. Whatever's true, both and, they, the sparrows and Bach and Nicole, an awesome, unholy trinity, meant to write a trinity, pace this autocorrector, made my morning. And so now, Nordic Burn, a very crude oil tanker, claiming to be out of Monravia, with all its 754 feet, is foolishly trying to do what even given 1,300 feet just did to the Suez Canal, to our Narrows? That's so foolish, our sparrows watching fall off their benches laughing. I would too, and do laugh, and would fall off if I too was on the bench. So what's that arrow in your name? And the SP, spill it out, not the seed, the meaning. Is it you, your Latin praenomen, some collapsed abbreviation, or just that from which the arrow was? I.e., you, bow, and you name this bow and arrow. Have I cracked that seed? I mean name I named you or insulted you, who just flew off to the furthest branch of that wide sidewalk tree still looks black at 9 a.m. with the sun in our backs? Or is it that pair of cackling grackles chased you away? You seem okay with the smoke from the Russian gent's cigarette wafting up to us, and against which I now slam my window shut.
In December of 2021, a mega rarity for our region appeared at Owl's Head Park in Bay Ridge. A displaced ash-throated flycatcher, Tyran à gorge cendrée, Maiarchus cineraens, came to visit. This fall, I actually documented 3 of them, 2 in November, and 1 came back that stayed until December. December 14 was the last time I saw it. The drawing is from 2021, the 2021 bird, and it's in the Leporello, available at the table, pitch to the crowd. It's a numbered edition. This Maiarchus cineraens had wandered from the western skies and graced us with his presence for several weeks. Are we at the right place at the right time? Being for the world, être pour le monde. No, that's too Christian, too transcendent. Being in the world, être au monde. Well, that's better. But being of the world, être du monde, best, because it has a sense of immanence. We polish our animal mirror to look for ourselves. That was Donna Haraway.
Climbing down from the canopy, we come to Earth in Boise, Idaho, 2016, where Nicole got deeply fascinated by those other flying objects of the American West, vegetable in nature, some of which even tumble along from continent to continent, incontinent in their movements, one could say. Nicole brings them into her performances and writings as here, combined with my own amateur attempt at videoing.
So this piece was created for the Karstic action we did at the Ming Gallery in Boise. The painting was done on that occasion, and I can tell you that tumbleweeds are really itchy and scratchy on the bare skin. And it has also to do with our anniversary, so that's the poem with Pierre's video. Tumbleweed, tumbleweed, tumbleweed. To complete and celebrate 29 years, seeking serendipitous wisdom for our upcoming journey, with sage remains and witnesses frost heaves, old machinery and Russian thistle. Yes, tumbleweed, tumbleweed. Icons are invasive. Here, a tumble car next to magic reservoir. Faith won't help human condition. Jesus is not my co-pilot. You are. Stems separate from roots. It is how I got here too. Touch me not. I spill beans and talk like a contaminated flax seed. Burning and prescribe. I thrive in disturbed sites.
Oops. Loosely following the structure of our 3 levels exhibition in Luxembourg, here is the middle section, abri, shelter, after the canopy frolics and tumbleweeds. This is the open-air space, linked to the public, the people, and politics of what I call the commons. A shelter is not No, yeah, that was the view of the gallery of this place where we did a lot of performances.
You can read from on this one, right? Or you want the slide? You want this?
I can remember where we're going from here. Yeah, we're done with that.
A shelter is not necessarily an island.
A
You were going to
shelter
read that poem.
is not necessarily an island, as title for something cogent right now comes to mind and brings to mind Eric Mottram's 1971 book title, Shelter Island and the Remaining World. So now is shelter the opposite of the remaining world? When the remaining world is helter-skelter, late 16th century adverb, a rhyming jingle of unknown origin, perhaps symbolic of running feet, or from Middle English, skelter, hasten, or not. No, shelter is island. Island is always plural, is always already part of some multiplicity, an archipelago. Quote, a series of sound groups, a local thrush, chickadees at their red plastic spinning bins, active for dark brown striped white sunflower seeds, gulls, white crab and cree, low over wrinkling shoreplain. That was an Eric Mottram quote. So yes, we presented some of these following pieces on the gallery at the floor level.
The one coming up now, yeah. So we also did 2 live Karstic action at the gallery in the window, actually. And it was nice, there was people coming by thinking, what are those 2 dudes?
One was the vote piece. As we have come out of shelter and engaged with what Olson called the polis, the city, be citizens. The vote piece was done in 2020, triggered by the absolute importance of the elections, as will be those later this year. We worked on rallying votes via the Writers Against Trump organization. Here is a documentation of our 3 actions.
Sorry for the resolution. For some reason, the computer is not picking up the writing, so apologies, but... Oh, so this was my pre-vote part that got onto the website, Writers Against Trump. And I have planned to do a blue this year. Because that time I did it red, I think it was a sense of urgency, and I really didn't assimilate Trump with so much red. But so I'm keeping in shape to do the blue one, because this is one take. And what was funny was Pierre was in front and saying, I was going a little astray with
I was a language teacher, so I taught writing.
So anyway, stay tuned for the oh, I can't go fast. For the oh, we're going to finish it. It was an effort, right? So, but we couldn't do a painting here tonight because it gets a little messy, and I got in trouble once. So another time, you know, somewhere else, I'll invite you. But that red paint, guys. Thank you. How do you say? Applaudissez l'animal, n'oubliez pas le dompteur.
Yeah, that's it. We actually went to vote that morning, and there was that gorgeous truck outside. We didn't eat its food, but we applauded the fact that it was giving free food to people who came to vote. All right, and I'll follow that impossible to follow piece. I cannot do that kind of standing. With a little manifesto I wrote for the Writers Against Trump org. Born in Europe right after World War II, I grew up with my parents' stories of how fascism had overpowered weak and unsuspecting democracies, leading to unbelievable repression, mass civilian deaths, and an actual genocide. Over these past 4 years, these stories have come back to haunt me. I never saw the fascist, racist takeover possible in these United States, the democracy that had helped Europe escape Nazism. But I know better now. Trump's re-election would legitimate his vision of an authoritarian, white supremacist, pseudo-Christian ideology and spell the end of American democracy. Only voting massively this November can stave off this takeover. The Biden-Harris ticket may not be your or my ideal revolutionary dream possibility. But it is what can and will save our democracy. I'm calling on you, the young, disheartened, disgruntled, disappointed ones. You who have so much more to lose than me. And we, the older ones, have to fight this plague together. That means go out and vote to take this country back, to get justice for everyone. No justice, no peace. Voting this November is the only solution. Go vote. That was 2020. In 2024, it is even more urgent to fight back against the attempts of a Christian fascist takeover of this, yes, very imperfect democracy.
So the Karstic Domopoetic action Resist, Persist, Assist took place on November 5th, 2020 during the endless wait for the 2020 presidential election result. Exactly 2 days after the election and declaring I have a frog.
And declaring the winner. Drink, I'll continue. The concept of this work was to create a caustic action that would channel, alleviate, and transform the unbearable tension and anxiety generated by this weight and conjure the election auguries. And it worked.
It did. So that's a little. We're just the two of us on the beach doing the filming, doing everything.
Look at us in November.
Come on. Two cormorants are passing by.
We applaud our birds, the two cormorants. We knew there was a good omen.
The fire department showed up because of the sage burning. So here are the three residual paintings that were basically made at the beach, but then they were just a little bit enhanced. So this is resist, persist, and assist. And this assemblage was made with all the materials I kept, then glued together with the Sunday time, announcing the victory in the background. Thank you, Fiona, for the pastille.
And from my latest collection, Interglacial Narrows, over on the table, published by Contramundum Press last year, and it gathers work from 215 to 221. Here are a couple poems, and then followed by a couple cormorant poems. The art of the fugue. No, not today. This morning it is l'art de la fugue, or how to run away from yourself, to come to yourself through an outside snow this morning that lives up to and beyond your vague ideas of another behind, as from the other side of this page the ink bleeds through my contrafugue, fugue that goes into das geht in die Fugen, and in between das es kracht, my counter move and sound, mirror images, brings nothing home except right now what stops my storm. This metaphor, that ink can bleed, or can it? Trigonometry of the Trinity. And the Lord, having rested from his labors, sat up, looked around, and seeing how his critters had fucked up his creation, he raised his hand and put a bullet through his head. Thus, the third eye came to be. The poet's job: pick up everything that shines, discard the gold, keep the light. And some cormorants here, 2 for the cormorants. The heart of the cormorant is at the head of its name. It wants more, but no rand. 2, we applaud the cormorant, even if the fish slipping down its gullet won't. Halfway down my morning walk, and a lament for missing fauna forms in my head, remembering yesterday's mantis and turtle, with only a half-dozen sleepy gulls swinging nonchalantly on the flood waters halfway between here and Staten Island. So this all is an in-between, a halfway house New York. When of a sudden, from under the water, a cormorant emerges, sits quietly for a moment, and then, with Olympic precision, as it starts to dive back under, another cormorant emerges 25 feet away in perfect rhyme with its disappearing semblable. A Thala Crocorax da Forta made my morning, and no doubt theirs too. Now, this video is not directly related to the poem, but it is to Nicole's next piece. And I really love the video because of its cormorants on the great yellow submarine that is sunk in the area of New York that is called
Coney Island Creek.
Coney Island Beach.
Creek.
Around there. Some are so short-sighted, while in winter I can see through bare branches the ships that lie in wait along the lengths of the Narrows, and the gulls eyeing their sterns, waiting for garbage. My cormorants don't go there. That's a statement, not an order. There's no ring around their neck in any season.
Eavesdropping onto the ocean. Observations generate questions. Who is the armless epibiond? Ask the heron in the sketchbook. Ardeas Erodias. High tide day between Calvervaux and Coney Island Creek. I paddle among 5 impassable great blue herons perched on shipwrecks and rusted industrial decay. These majestic sentinels remain silent, vigilant, resilient, and will patiently wait for their prey to come within range. Neither the muffled brouhaha of cars, planes, and soccer games nearby, nor the gouged-out eye of the almost fully submerged yellow submarine seems to be of concern. My presence is noticed, but not significant. They take off. Their majestic flight leaves me elated, deflated. The gracious landing on the gnarled dead tree is sympoetic, and the message is potent and clear. spend time with yourself. So that I added because it has a really funny picture of the two of them there, a juvenile.
Queskutis. 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 Queskutis.
Queskutis, queskutis, queskutis. Life, world, thoughts granted by killdeer proximity phenomenon. Chardreus vociferus shifts my mind from in the world to in their world, both swamped by cold winter sun and industrial remains here at Calver Vox. This is just a fact, a situation to be observed and delight in, a golden moment to spread my wings beyond my limited content.
And away from animals to my objectivist version of objects. Driftwood and rope, snapshot haikus. Flotsam, jetsam, some flotsam. Oh, I went too fast. That was the flotsam, jetsam, jetsam, flotsam. Those are photos I took along the narrows in front of our house. Don't rope her heart, go from orange to red, reach inland. Volvic knot rope melts ice and snow, but not rock. You started it all, antler branch, way back when. You hide now in ice, though hunt be over. Rest in loosened knots, bedrock will hold you. Nothing left to tether. Ghost harpoon, waiting, waiting. Whales all gone, or are they? Write it down on paper. There are stones, no scissors, no hope, but rope. Wood window frames, sea frames, wood window frames, sea frame belly laugh. Waiting for mermaid? Blue yarn asks broken heart meshed chair seat. Some flotsam, no jetsam, weird, weirdsome. And a poem from a week or so ago. Peace flag, tattooed, no tattered, I see through you from land into sea and nowhere to land, and vice versa, vice between sun and shade, between light and water, between rock and land, between wood and rock. Tattered flag, blood-stained peace, tattooed flag, hold up the peace flag, tattooed, no tattered by soldiers washed in water, left not to dry but to hang. Rope and black plastic tatters hang it all, hangs in no balance between land and sea, between you and them, between me and me, along this shore here to reassure me and you. There is blood slowly washing out. There are holes in the flag between sea and land. There are algae adhering to rocks, waving in the water. There is broken wood waving in the water. There are ripped black plastic bags waving in the wind, calming, washing the bloodied flag.
February 2023, we had another unusual visitor on shore promenade, a razorbill. Actually, at some point, there were two of them. It came very close to the shore, and that was unusual. They are usually seen as group and not near the coast. But this hang out for a couple of weeks, and I fell in love. Sorry, Pierre. Ménage à trois. Razorbill. The colonial seabird seems to be alone today. I'm literally chasing Le Petit Penguin up and down the Narrows and barely keeping up on my bicycle. I'm counting how long it stays underwater to be able to catch a shot between dives. It's cold, it's crisp, it's bright. We both love it, both having grand fun. Our playful disposition don't reveal any concerns regarding our status. The razorbill, as the only extant member of the genus Alca of the family Alcidae, and I, a Homo sapien, a juvenile species 30 million years is junior. These moments hold neither despair nor hope, but a sense of co-presence, an awe-filled moment with a companion species. Those are my other lovers, the purple sandpipers. Sorry, Pierre. He loves them too. This is ménage à many, because there's a lot of purple. The Arctic winter residents have returned from their Arctic tundra breeding grounds. From late November to April, rain, snow, or shine, a small, consistent contradiction of Calidris maritima forage the shore promenades rocks along the Narrows. Les bécassos violets, s'il vous plaît, are bicontinental, yes, found on both shores of the Atlantic, from Greenland and Iceland to northern Spain and exceptionally North Africa. In France, they winter along the coast from Dunkirk to Biarritz. On our American coast, they wintering extend to Maryland. How smart of them to avoid all the tourist traffic. Dedicated couples, they are, with very little extra pair copulation, as DNA studies have confirmed their essential monogamy. Voila. And this is in the book.
The upcoming video was part of Nicole's installation at a group show curated by Nina Levent at Sapar Gallery in Tribeca called Women and Other Wild Creatures, Matrilineal Tales. It allowed Nicole to interact with another of our favorite species, the horseshoe crab, aka Limulus polyphemus. She doesn't find me old enough, so she goes and frolics with 450 million-year-old critters, true blue bloods on top of it all. But I came to supervise or learn something. Nicole was holding one camera with her feet inside the horseshoe crab carcass, while I held the other camera and her bathrobe over my arm as she started taking more and more of her clothes off. You never know who shows up or wakes up on Plum Beach at 7 a.m. limbless polyphemus or horseshoe crabs are a good transition to move to what we have called the basement floor of our exhibition, the sanctuary. Here is the lower floor of the gallery where various works related to caves were displayed. Among them, the chasuble I wore during a few performances and most of Nicole's bivalve paintings.
You wore that at the poetry project, that's why we got in trouble in the marathon, we put red paint on the floor. And yes, and there is an homage to Carolee Schneemann, who was actually crucial in the development of this work, bivalve, the vulvic space, the vulvic knowledge. 17 texts, 17 painting, 1 recipe, and a CD. I have 2 books left. They're really collectibles. They're on the table, if you're interested. So, for Carolee, a poem I wrote shortly after her passing, using the title of her films and her last email to us. For and with Carolee. A photo by Pierre, February 10, 2019. Fuses. The details of lovemaking, une perspective féminine de l'amour, a feminine perspective of love. The camera looks for life-stained details, a space, a place between desire and experience. Mawa, 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 holy water, water light, water needle, meet joy blessed. I ask you, my goddess, the mysteries of the pussies, the sacred erotics and the domestic, all available at Vulva School. Je me témoigne. Testify yourself and read proportion through Plurry-eyed plumb line, a crystal clear pendulum, breaks up gravity, defies state and conditioning. Heart's sounds do not depend on celestial observations. Soundtrack. Yes, 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 yes. Ho, 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 ho. No, 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 no. You never let yourself be swept along by unfavorable circumstances. This is, stop. Stop, now, Americana, I Ching, apple pie. Oh, and all the sweet atmospheres of sharing issues were floating around in applesauce. The notion of chance has sunk under green earth, but wise woman's spirit rises above receptive shells on that blessed day. Time together, your dearest guardians of ice and snow. Your words, your fire, your light, feeding our love, our work, our Domopoetics, forever here, next to our bed, purring in peace with clunny, vesper, kitsch, in infinity kisses. Thank you. So that will be the last one for me, and then Pierre will close with the Cave of Gargas. And actually, we have a witness this exists here, because Yuko Otomo was in this cave. So she can, on my film, Things Fall Where They Lie, which is available online, on Vimeo. Just, I'm doing a lot of advertisement. So there is a section with Dear Steve. So let's have a moment for Steve Dalashinsky, Carolee, of course, and Lynn Eginian, and the departed poem, but this is, so let's have a cave prayer. I mean, this is my version. My vision of the cave. We saw 2 different places, Pierre and I. At Gargas, I grasp and tap into vulvic knowledge. I give myself up to the cave. Revivre la grotte. Se replacer, not remplacer. Not far from the opening, around the corner, on the left-hand side, I crouch down and gasp. Vulva? My vulva? Your vulva? Our vulva? Une vulve gravicienne, a millennial rendezvous, a geomatrix dedicated to secular worship. wet and oxidized lethal vulva. Your paradoxical stillness resuscitates our pulverulent uterine memories. Je vous salue, ô vulve pleine de grâce. Hail to you, Mary. No, hail to you, vulva full of grace. Your redness, your wetness, you, the unfailing witness, le témoin séculaire. Roger, Roger Herbert, Roger, Roger Herbert, Roger, Roger Herbert. Ah, ah, ah.
So the one you saw in stone has been wet like that for 24,000 years because of the water, and prehistoric woman or man put a little piece of ferrous oxide at the level of the clitoris, which gave the color. And that has been going on 24,000 years.
No menopause.
And to close, a poem of mine on the sanctuary called The Sanctuary of Hands. 1. To cut beneath the humdrum, to get language on the road, to dig through the layers from last night's hangover to a Byzantine arch 600 years old, a carefully constructed something, a Ciceronian sentence, a habit of daily diagnostics meant to work language mano a mano, to breckle, crumble it between thumb and forefinger into crumbs, to feed the pigeons and geese that press close in the elaborate starved gangways of hunger mind. 2. Mano a mano into the double cave of Gargas. His fiction is of wildty, and here the commune of Aventignan is propriétaire and gestionnaire of the mouth of that earthly swallowing up. Herein the long conduit, hands on walls, blown clear shadows against stone, all dated 27,000 years ago, give or take 4 centuries. The countdown gives of 231 paintings of hands in negative outline and positive imprint. 114 show mutilations of 1 or more fingers. Only 10 show no deficiency in finger joints. The remaining 107 not well enough preserved through the millennia to allow a decision. There are right hands, there are left hands, hands of women, hands of man, hands of children. Note, all thumbs are there. No thumb is mutilated. Oh, opposable self-definition of the human. These are Cro-Magnon hands, fingers folded in silent code as paint is blown from mouth to bone to frame a hand. Language of bent fingers decodes the layers of humans' understanding of humans. If early is primitive, claims mutilation in savage ritual, or illiterate primitivism bias backed by Catholic Church in Franco-Cantabrian area. But Le Roi-Gourand theory wants to rhyme finger mutilations with silent hand code signals of Kalahari Bushman hunters info with the presence of game. 3 folded middle fingers spell gazelle. The middle alone, giraffe. An open hand, no fingers bent, says monkey. Or need therefore to insist on full linguistic and symbolic competence of Paleolithic humans. If early is sickly, the claims line up a delirious vademecum of modern medicine. In the 50s, Paul A. Jensen championed Raynaud's disease. Others ogled acute arthritis, syphilitic arthritis, arteriosclerosis, embolism, diabetic gangrene, and several afflictions such as chilblains and rheumatism. If early is rich culture, birth read the missing finger joints as folded in silent language code. For writing is early, though testing correlations for recurring combinatorial patterns remains to be done. Find Hans Bornfeld's 1994, The Keys to the Caverns. It is very early, and the archaeology of morning needs credit. Cro-Magnon meander, which complicates Mother Nature or capital M, Goddess black or white, and the shamaness knows the rooms Clayton winds his way through, quote, in Gargas a quester risked through, or ate mushrooms or fell asleep. We will never know. He turned himself into a uterine double. He located the sole gate of access to paradise. He dived to the bottom of the sea, followed a bear into a grotto, had the sense to listen to a hedgehog. We will forever know the beautiful U-turn of his journey. He went in a boy, came out a girl, a woman. Oh, that Olsen's demand to Boulderaf. Why don't you put this history together? She is the clue, she our Suma girl. A hot idea, had it been followed up in 1950, so that we could be done with the hunting hypothesis. There was no hunting in the caves. The hands.
Pierre Gogwil. Thank you, the whole team.
Nicole.
Matt, James, Laura, Anna, the volunteers. Thank you, the Poetry Project. Ura, te amo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for the pastilla.
Thank you,
so
Nicole.
much. Thank you for coming. Pierre Joris, also known as
Nicole Peyrafitte.
Peyrafitte. That's his name in Occitan, Peyrafitte. And I'm Peyrahitte. That's my name. He's a Stone George, and I am raised stone. Watch out. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Kier again. Kier Gogwelt.